Rob Crow spent years looking up, convinced we weren't alone. As an amateur astronomer and multiple abductee, he was used to being called crazy. But one night, staring at his multi-monitor setup in Los Angeles, he finally finds the proof: a distinct cluster of blue-white dots on a direct trajectory for Earth. This is an invasion fleet of staggering proportions. Before Rob can even process the data, a sweeping shadow is already bearing down on the planet, carrying an extraterrestrial force large enough to overwhelm humanity in an instant. His discovery dance is cut short when a Black Ops hit squad drops through his skylight. Before they can pull the trigger, Agent Jody Johnson kicks down the front door, guns blazing, and drags Rob out a second-story window. As they hit the ground running, Jody drops a terrifying piece of information. The commandos hunting them aren't aliens. They are a rogue faction within the human government, explicitly trying to spark an apocalyptic war by making sure nobody warns the public. The fleet specifically requested Rob as their peace negotiator. For the rogue faction to get the war they want, they only have to remove one unassuming civilian who has no idea how to fight back. Jody's first instinct is to fall back on official government protocols. She throws Rob into a sleek, unmarked Treasury Department van, trusting that her agency's secure transport will get them out of the hot zone. That trust evaporates when a red warning light flashes on the dashboard. The rogue faction has already compromised her agency's network and activated a remote kill switch, forcing Jody and Rob to throw themselves out of the moving vehicle into the desert scrub. Seconds later, the van is gone. The explosion confirms that the rogue faction is inside the Treasury systems. Jody's own agency just turned her vehicle into a bomb. With their official transport destroyed remotely, any government resource is now a potential hazard. To survive the night, they have to abandon the systems Jody spent her entire career serving. Surviving the blast only buys them a few hours before they are captured and dragged into a heavily guarded aircraft hangar. There, they face the rogue human forces, standing side by side with identical, cold-eyed humanoid aliens known as the Nordies, wielding massive red blaster rifles. When the lead Nordy points a blaster directly at Rob's head, something deep inside him snaps. A latent, alien-implanted tactical program awakens in his brain. Moving with ice-cold precision, Rob strips the weapon from his executioner and turns the red energy bolts on the alien squad, dropping them instantly. They use the chaos to flee onto a speeding Amtrak train, hoping public transit will mask their movements. Instead, it becomes a rolling steel trap. A heavily armed tactical ally named Freddy blocks the corridor, betraying Jody and leaving them completely cornered. Out of options, Rob aims his scavenged alien laser rifle directly at the floorboards. He fires a single brilliant red blast straight through the metal coupling mechanism joining the cars together. The severed front half of the train speeds off into the night, leaving Rob and Jody coasting to a safe stop. As the human transportation networks systematically fail them, Rob's hidden extraterrestrial combat instincts are the sole reason they are still breathing. Their journey only gets harder. They manage to secure a battered Cessna, but are immediately tracked by an F-16 that fires a heat-seeking missile at them. They survive only because their pilot, a peaceful gray alien disguised as a human, intercepts the strike with her own ship, dropping them safely outside Washington, D.C. Now deep inside the Pentagon, they finally reach the absolute center of American military power. Rob stands in a secure, wood-paneled room, bringing the reality of the impending invasion directly to the president. The commander-in-chief recognizes the stakes. He authorizes an immediate top-secret NASA launch at Cape Canaveral, intending to drop Rob on the moon so he can negotiate a treaty before the fleet arrives. But the illusion of safety shatters moments later. While walking down a supposedly secure Pentagon hallway, a rogue assassin steps out from behind a pillar and fatally shoots their alien ally. The hostile faction's reach has penetrated the highest levels of government. Despite the attack, the mission pushes forward. Down in Florida, a multi-billion-dollar space shuttle sits illuminated on the launch pad. It represents humanity's final beacon of institutional hope. As the engines roar to life, the rogue politician Harris triggers a sabotage sequence. The shuttle violently detonates in midair, raining a massive fireball down on the Cape. The fireball over Canaveral effectively closes the door on the official diplomatic route. With the shuttle gone, the only remaining hope for the planet is entirely off the books. With NASA gone, an eccentric outcast named Selkirk pulls up in a foil-lined van to offer a completely off-the-books solution. As the head of an underground fringe network, he anticipated the sabotage and built his own backup plan. Hidden inside the drained Olympic swimming pool of an abandoned mansion sits an absurd yet fully functional spacecraft. It is a heavily modified minivan, roughly welded to booster rockets and lunar lander legs. There is no polished technology or multi-billion-dollar budget here. Rob straps into his flight gear, a heavy, cobbled-together vintage diving suit, packed with exposed wiring and duct tape. Right as he seals the helmet, black SUVs crash through the mansion's front gates. The rogue commandos pour onto the pool deck, firing assault rifles in a frantic, final bid to stop the launch. The pristine, government-funded space shuttle was obliterated by the very bureaucracy that built it. Now, as bullets spark off the concrete, survival relies on the ingenuity of outcasts launching a junkyard rocket. To give Rob the window he needs, Jody drops behind a concrete planter and lays down suppressing fire. She takes a bullet to the shoulder, bleeding heavily as she holds the line, and executes the commando leader at point-blank range, buying Rob exactly 5 minutes. Locked inside the dark, cramped cockpit, Rob watches his friends fight desperately outside the reinforced glass. He presses go, and the drained pool erupts as the crude engines ignite with chaotic, terrifying thrust. The makeshift ship blasts out of the concrete crater, riding a raw pillar of flame. It punches violently through the cloud layer, shedding pieces of scrap metal as it breaks atmospheric pressure, successfully leaving a corrupted Earth behind. The harsh shaking finally stops. In the silent zero-gravity void, Rob fires his retro thrusters and descends toward the stark, cratered surface of the moon, touching down safely between 2 waiting alien saucers. Salvation didn't come from a military budget or a government mandate. It relied on a bleeding agent holding a staircase and a terrified astronomer in a modified minivan.